Hi guys, I'm here with Raymond Minnaar, concept artist and illustrator from Pretoria, Joburg.
Joburg.
You know I'm Cape Townian, so to me it's Cape Town, Langebaan, Africa.
Oh,
Cool.
Gauteng, right.
From Gauteng. Is fantastic artist. I'll show you guys some of his work a bit later in the scroll by as the interview goes along. I'm going to ask him some questions and then hopefully I don't bore him to death.
Fair enough.
Cool. So tell us a bit, what do you do?
Okay, so what I do for a living is I basically work for a game company. I mainly work in fantasy, a little bit of science fiction, but mainly fantasy, dark fantasy, a bit more realistic, mainly very old school, almost like the Frank Frazetta kind of stuff, but not like that, a bit different. Yeah, that's a kind of fantasy, preferably dark fantasy. I would just say dark fantasy. Yes, that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, no, I'm very much into the dark fantasy and the horror myself.
Yes, yeah.
Skulls, monsters, blood, gore.
Yeah,
we all love it.
There we go.
Cool. So tell us just a little bit what during your development inspired your style to develop and for you to find your own voice.
Okay, basically, I mainly enjoyed back in the day computer games. I started as an avid gamer when I was a kid. Watched a lot of like the old school fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings, and even before that Arthur movies and Conan movies as well. And then also a lot of history. I absolutely love history, and I think that is one of the biggest inspirations. And I think the love for fantasy started with Diablo 1 back in the day. Like it's ages ago. I was not really supposed to be playing that game at that age, but luckily my mom didn't care. And I was playing Diablo 1, and the dark fantasy. That's funny. That's really funny.
I wasn't supposed to be playing it, but I did it anyway. My mom didn't care.
Yeah.
Sounds like me.
That does, eh? So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the dark fantasy world with knights and all that stuff, and the darker the better. And that started me with art in general. I changed a few, like themes that I really enjoyed, like ancient Rome and like Greek mythology and that. But I always kept coming back to the fantasy, and I think that's where my passion is. And recently more like Game of Thrones kind of stuff that really inspires me. But again, history, actual medieval history, Vikings, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love that stuff. Really inspired by actual world events that really happened.
Yeah, let's just have a moment of silence for the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. There we go.
All right. So please tell us, what would you say to this point has been your biggest obstacle, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
I think the fear of creating art. I think that is something that most artists have a problem with. I think all artists have a problem with the fear of creating art, and it's more of a, it's everybody has a personal attachment to art, and their art is special, and everybody cares what other people think of their art. And I think that is one of the biggest obstacles. And also again, the projection of other people that and what they think of you, and you becoming an artist. I think, especially for younger artists, it's a lot difficult for family members to really understand what they're trying to do, and I think that's one of the biggest struggles. And how I overcame it was basically just to do the art. I've had quite a few people in my life that was like against it, but eventually, you just over time you prove them wrong. And I think if you just stick to it, that problem really solves itself.
Yeah.
If people grow, over time, and people are more, they change their minds. And also, when it comes back to what I just previously said about the fear of creating art, it's more of a projection of what you expect of yourself, and it's perfectly understandable if you are not the greatest artist right out the boat, and it takes years for you to grow as an artist. So I'm far from where I want to be. Like it's not even funny how far behind I feel sometimes, and yet people say my art is looking good. So
It does.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
No,
your art is amazing. If I'm looking at some of these here, I'll put them up just now. There's one here I'm looking at specifically. It's a knight with a
Lance.
With a lance. Excuse me, sorry, forgive me. I should have known. I was about to say halberd, storming a dragon, and I'll put it up on the screen. You guys will be able to see what we're talking about. Someone taking a selfie. And so and then just one last bit. Do you have any advice for artists that are growing, that are trying to get better, or that feels they just need a little bit of encouragement?
Yes, I feel like just do art. Don't overthink things. At the end of the day, it's all science. You know, like a painting is all about color. You know, learn the fundamentals. I would say that is the key. Is the most important thing is to learn, study, and work from reference. And you know, like. It all boils down to science, in my opinion. Any painting is science, and at the end of the day, everything works in a scientific way. You know, you have to understand how light works. You have to understand how atmosphere works. Rocks. You have to understand color theory. This is all knowledge that you can study. So there is no fairy dust artist. There's this big misconception that art in general are done by special people, and that is the biggest lie I've ever heard in art. Anybody can do this if you just put in the time and effort and knowledge. That is the biggest thing that I'm saying. So
cool. Thank you, man. It's been a good one. And then, cheers. Catch you around the next festival.
Yes, awesome.